Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, my fellow gun boys, and the rest of YouTube. If you're watching this is the day after banner. But as with all banners, comes a new mobile suit. So our newest entry is the Galbaldy Beta High Mobility type from Advance of Zeta. But before we get into the details, let's go over some news. In addition to tonight's main event, we do have a limited supply drop for the Red Rider, which also happens to include the level 3 version, which comes in at 500. So if you don't have the 450 or the 400 cost Red Rider coming at level 1, level 2 respectively, this might be up your alley. This also happens to include the weapons to go along with it. So I would definitely consider it. This is not in your collection. Switching down to the recycle ticket counter, we are getting the level 3 Hammurabi, the heavy arms type of the Gyaradoga level 1, level 2, as well as the Reg Z custom level 1, level 2. I can definitely vouch for the Reg Z. I've seen the heavy arms type Gyaradoga in action, so if you are learning a support unit that's pretty solid all around, I would definitely pick it up if you have the respective recycle tickets for these suits, which are generally, in most cases, triple digits. Would say average about 300 tickets or more. Definitely pick them up. Now, switching over to the DP exchange counter, we are getting both the Gaz L, Gaz R at level 1, level 2 respectively. In addition to that, the ZZ level 3 has been added to it. So some pretty solid suits all around, especially if you're a newer player, rounding out your mobile suit collection, getting some capable mobile suits. These three are very well to add there until you find something a little more efficient. Now, on to the details of the new mobile suit. Getting into a little bit of the background behind tonight's mobile suit, the Galbaldy Beta High Mobility type is a 2-star, 500 cost support unit that's usable on ground and space. Since it's an aging mobile suit that's slowly becoming out of date, it's installed with new equipment and experimental equipment for the purpose of testing new weapons, new technologies that would also incorporate into later Titan-based mobile suits such as the Hazel and the Mark II and so forth. It does also have a mobile thruster very similar to the Hazel Custom, has increased armor and mounted flanges, as well as a high mobility booster pod, which enhances its mobility and firepower. With the Galbaldy Beta banner tonight, there isn't any type of discounts or half-offs going on, so it's still full price or you're relying on single pulls. However, if you're collecting normal suits, the 10 pull does give you a chance to get either a helmet or the normal suit from Zeta, which is worn by Gates Kappa, the guy who pilots the other Unit 2 Bound Dock from that series. So really cool. Now, on to the nitty-gritty behind the actual suit itself. Alright, into the nitty-gritty, as I said. The Galbaldy Beta actually has some pretty decent stats for the high mobility type. 16k HP, 18 ballistic, 25, not 26 as you see in there, for the beam resistance, and 11 melee, which doesn't seem a whole lot, but you know, they do have to kind of balance out since it is a support unit, which also lends to the fact that it has 32 range and 18 melee, which is pretty surprising. Movement speed is 115, which isn't bad for most suits. Most of them tend to lean towards 125, but it's all right. It gets around a little bit, or it might need a little more effort. But it does have a little bit higher top speed. I'm not sure if it does beat out, say, something like the Gallus right next to it. Actually, it does. So that might be something worthwhile, especially one thing to note that a whole lot of people will really say much is that it does have space compatibility. So the nice thing about it is, once we'll get into details around the skills, it doesn't have any balancers, which we'll get into, like I said, a bit, because it kind of interjects with some of the weapons that it has. But getting into the thick of things even further, turning speed is kind of average for a support unit like this. Would be nice to turn on a dime, but you know, balance reasons. Thruster gauge is at 65. You probably want a little bit more, or if you feel like you can control it, you know, it's really up to the pilot, up to the player. But one thing I do note that this unit has, since they don't have the other beam rifle that the high mobility GM Kai has, which is not in the game yet, by the way, you do have the Hazel beam rifle, but you also have the choice to use the Galbaldy beta rifle. Now, this is where it gets a little confusing, because what ends up happening is the Hazel beam rifle actually hits harder, you get more shots by a little bit. Granted, it's like 200 points, but you know, every little bit counts for us supports, I guess. But the difference is a whopping 100 meters. So your Galbaldy beta rifle does reach out a little bit further. Your Hazel is a little more in close, but you do get the pierce and you get the charged shots, whereas you're just dumping rounds. The reload's about the same and the cooldown's about the same. So really, it's going to be up to your personal preference. Based on this, I might stick it out with the Hazel beam rifle, just because I've used it so much between the HMT Hazel, the Hazel 2, and the Hazel Custom. It's kind of like the old reliable weapon for me. The Galbaldy Beta Saber that they use is 2100, 2.5 second cooldown. As I said, no balancers, so you're either going to be going for those neutral stuns, or you're going to go for the complete downswing if you have the opportunity. This is a completely curved ball right here, a Zeku Ain's cannon. According to other sources, which include the wiki, there are configurations that they had, I think, in the manga that give this particular suit the Hyzak cannon, which I would say probably might be a little more viable than this. But in terms of damage, it does pretty much add up if you have high enough range strength to kind of make up for it. Hard to say. It is literally the first day of Banner passed, so we'll see how people can adapt to this, or if it needs a tweak in the future. Really hard to say. You have the missile pod that is attached to the unit. This one is an incendiary pack, so 100 power per shot, 6 shots for a 15-second reload time for 300 meters. It does, I think, 200 stock per hit. Correct me if I'm wrong. Might be pretty neat just for tick damage, but unfortunately, this does not do any type of stun buildup, from what I can tell. Even if you dump the whole mag into an enemy and they all hit, nothing. This one, of course, is a good old classic Galbaldy special. Both of them do have to hit. They do come out pretty quick, but they do hit a lot less than its general version. So you're losing out, I believe, on 200 points of damage per hit for the same amount of reload, which, again, seems a bit sus. But we'll see if BB Studios comes out with a revision or not. Hard to say. I guess they might want to see how it turns out with us using, you know, this suit and basically treating it like a little test that they get to see. So, into the skills. Pretty straightforward. Ironically enough, the support has Force Injector, which is pretty crazy considering that you have space compatibility, like I was saying earlier. It's kind of ironic because there's no bouncers on the ground, but at the same time, once you take the suit into space, basically it acts like it has balancers anyways, which this suit has the potential of being completely disgusting, like some other suits, like a Gelgu cannon and downswing type of video that I've seen before. But on top of that, you do get a special chest buffer, which does reduce some of the center mass damage, but personally I'd rather have the leg buffers, which I don't think I've ever seen a Galbaldy beta having it, so it's kind of unfortunate. We'll see how it goes. It is still early in its banner night, so as I said, we'll see if anybody can adapt to this so far. So, ladies and gentlemen, that'll do it for tonight's recap of Banner Night and a little bit of an overview of the new mobile suit. I haven't had a chance to take it out quite yet. Maybe we'll find some time to be able to run it through its hoops there and see what it can and can't do. But if you enjoyed this video, found it informative, liked it, anything of that sort, please let me know in the comments. Hit that like button. I know a lot of you guys, at least 80 to 90% of you guys, aren't subscribed to the channel. You guys like what you see, want to look at for some more, definitely hit that notifications button too. And I'll see you guys on the next video.